Good evening, gamers. We gaming tonight. We got a great matchup in the Super Metroid Item Randomizer League playoffs versus Iron Rusty and Maniacal. I am, of course, TG Dirt. Many names and apparently many PBs. I think you got an older out PB recently. Antinomy, Antinomy, Sephi Cephalon, Cephaloff. Whatever
Card deck,
you need to call it.
Arcordis, yeah, Cheaty Face 4, Lotus 27, Poppy, you
Zosti,
can call me whatever.
87, those are all. We got them all right here.
I accept them all. Welcome. Yeah, thanks, Derpy. You're on your way. You're pretty close to that old Route 45.
It's true, but enough about us. We're not the ones bringing you this exciting Dash Randomizer race. So, of course, Dash Randomizer a little bit different than pretty much all of the other randomizers we are using in the league, or at least in the playoffs. It is based off of Total's old randomizer from 2017. Maybe he made it earlier, but I remember it being used in the 2017 tournament.
Yeah, it got perfected. Just kidding. No, it had its fair share of things. But 2017 is definitely when it was starting to increase in popularity, and yeah, that's when it happened. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and of course the logic is a little bit different from Varia Randomizer. It doesn't generate a specific logic. More so, it just generates items based on if the item can be collected with what items they have found so far. But of course, there are a few Dash exclusive changes that we'll talk about once they come up. And Bombs, an item that can actually bring out some of those changes. You want to talk about what that can do?
Bombs?
Yeah.
In Dash Run, they do something different? No, I actually cannot remember.
Yeah, they do. So I believe, if I remember correctly, having bombs allows you to access the Wreck Ship Reserve item. It allows you to break the speed blocks.
That's not a shot block, huh? Wait, it's bombs exclusive only? Not even like power bombs?
Yeah, just bombs.
Oh,
that's one of the many Dash changes to make the randomizer a little bit faster, since you're able to do more checks without picking up very specific items.
Right. And obviously, not having to miss out on the Wreck Ship Preserve is always a good thing. That's important to know. I can only really remember just like the other ones, the other changes, but I guess that's one that is often overlooked.
Yeah, the big one is, of course, the Spazer change that allows you to access Waterway and the Batoon Hallway, as well as the starter charge, of course, deals 1/3 of your normal charge damage. So you're never going to be soft locked, theoretically, at later game bosses like Mother Brain and Ridley. Of course, you still want your charge beam since it upgrades your charge shots by a lot, and until you get some beams, your starter charge shot will take, 900 shots to kill Ridley and Mother Brain?
Yeah, only.
Not great, but it is possible to do in a pinch.
Yeah, I mean, if you thought the low percent, if you thought the low percent Mother Brain fights were long, imagine 3 times the charge shots.
Yep, and we are assuming the runners aren't going to want to spend 20 minutes on Mother Brain, but they do technically have that option available to them if they so desire.
Right, because when you do find the regular, like, you can find charge, and it will obviously deal the full damage that your charge shots will do. So, not worth skipping.
Not worth skipping, indeed. So because the runners have bombs, the bomb to Rezo fight will trigger. So that's a funny little interaction there. Maniacal making quick work of it with 2 missiles and a super. Nice way to kill Bomb Teresa when you have the extra super pack. Obviously not a situation that comes up in vanilla, but always good information to have. And we'll see if it goes Gauntlet from here. He is able to get through Gauntlet with bombs, and he has an E-Tank, so it's not the worst decision. Looks like he's going to opt out of it.
Yeah, if anything, it just cannot be a suit. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the item might not be required. You know, should there be like some sort of progression hidden behind there? Not only that, but I mean, the runners don't know where their power bombs are currently, so it's very well possible that power bombs could also be right behind at the back of Gauntlet.
Yeah, Gauntlet can't be a suit, but it can be literally anything else, I believe. And of course, like you said, they are still looking for those power bombs. I believe Rusty checked the 230 missile location, which Maniacal opted to skip, but that was just a missile, so they are still looking. We'll see if Rusty actually checks the back of Gauntlet, which is another thing Maniacal did not do. But there's some power bombs under the bridge anyways, so hopefully for Rusty's sake he skips that check, since he'll be getting some in just a minute. So, other than that, and the supers at Old Mother Brain, this has been just missiles so far. Very ammo stingy seed, if you will. You don't really want to be picking up too many missiles, since it doesn't really provide you with the amount of firepower that supers provide, or the amount of utility that power bombs provide. I don't know what you want to call that, but regardless, you definitely want to find ammo other than missiles. There's a super pack up at early supers, so Maniacal's going to be happy about that.
It would really help at least to have, you know, the 30 supers, or at least enough ammo to dispatch Ridley. Because usually that's something, like when it comes to ammo management, usually that's kind of one of the first things in the back of your mind. It's just, oh, how am I gonna kill Ridley? I don't have the damage output, and usually enough supers resolves that. Ooh.
The speed booster, that opens up waterway. It opens up an easier way to get to Rex ship using Shine Spark instead of doing the horizontal bomb jump. Once they get gravity suit, that opens up Batoon. Very valuable item to find. Fortunately for both of the runners, it is going to be very early, and since they got that power bomb pack right before reaching that check, they were able to pick it up right now. Seems nice for now.
Derpy, what do you want out of this seed?
I mean, it's a hard question, because generally Dash Randomizer isn't going to be as trolly as Faria Randomizer is, since it can't just force you to go... It can't just force slowest logic, if that makes sense. So it won't force you to go all the way across the map for items. So I would rather see the other way around, actually. I want to see a jet seed. Let the runners show off their mechanical skill, if you will. Unfortunately, it looks like all they're showing off is reserve tanks, since that's the second one we've seen in Brinstar so far. There are a few checks left for us to get in.
Super is here. Pretty good for Iron Rusty. More supers on the way. I don't know. This could be looking fairly good. At least, you know, for the Ridley fight. Whether to commit to, you know, to finishing the game with like a bunch of ammo, it's still much too early to tell.
Yeah, that Etikun Powerbomb check is pretty slow from Rusty, but finding a super pack there is the best case scenario, and so we'll see how useful it becomes having that extra super pack over Maniacal. There's still a lot of minor items left, so we'll see if the seed decides to throw them a bone and start giving them more supers or not.
Yeah, Dr.
There's
Evil.
another reserve.
Yeah, what were you saying about throwing a freaking bone here?
Yeah, they're throwing reserves. If anything, the seed is maybe not playing nice. Don't know where the big ticket items are, but they are definitely not here in Brinstar. At least not in Upper Brinstar. They're still... We'll see where the runners decide to go from here. They do have all of Rex Ship in Logic since they have Speed Booster. One important thing to note is even though Bombs allows them to check the Rex Ship Reserve item, it doesn't actually put it in Logic from what the C checks for. So finding Speed means there's a technically higher likelihood.
What?
You didn't know that?
That's... No!
Yeah, so all of the dash changes don't actually affect the logic of the seed. So technically, even though you can open up checks earlier, it doesn't actually put them directly into logic, which is one of the issues some people have with Dash Rando, actually. But we'll see how the runners adapt to it. Looks like Maniacal is going to go up to the ship. Like I said,
Would you make that same play?
Honestly, probably not. I mean, I avoid Rex Ship more than most runners do, so I definitely don't think this is a bad play, but not a play I personally would make. Especially not with so many reserve tanks. Technically, you only need 4 of any kind of tank, energy or reserve, to put Hell Runs in Logic. And the runners have 6 with 3 reserves and 3 E-tanks. Plus, we don't know what's at Gauntlet. That item's in Logic. Plus, we don't know what's at Spazer, what's at Kraid. And there's a high likelihood that there's going to be some tanks at those locations. Looks like Maniacal's actually going to save. I imagine he save scums Gauntlet and then heads back to the ship. We still don't know what that Gauntlet item is.
Well, it's I don't know. Usually, like with when it comes to info, at least knowing what's over here at Gauntlet is incredibly useful. It could be an item that pays off, but again, maybe not necessarily required. That's what Iron Rusty does.
I mean, worst case is an E-tank or a reserve and Maniacal resets. He gets the refill for Rex Ship, which is pretty dangerous without any defensive items, so it's not like he doesn't want to be taking the refill and the save anyways. And obviously, best case, he finds something like Charge or Plasma. Spring Ball isn't the best item, but definitely a nice item to have. Allows you to do some fun movement tech. And is
talking about that's the way up. Going back on.
I assume he's just checking the minor items. I think he was debating on resetting there. I'm not sure why he's just going out the front, but that's okay.
I mean, there are. It could be, 2 super packs.
It could. We have not seen it yet. Let's see. Oh, it's 2 super packs. Okay.
I mean, like, there's still other, minor items to check anyway. I don't know if I can understand just probably just getting out of the way. Maybe didn't feel like more super packs would come up.
Yeah, having those extra supers is going to be nice. It looks like Rusty is also taking the save. We'll see if he also checks Gauntlet, but I don't actually expect him to do the same check at the back of Gauntlet, so that's a +1 super pack for Maniacal over Rusty. After the Edikun power bombs gave Rusty an initial super lead. So Maniacal is just going to take a refill, might actually just resave as well, lock in that spring ball and the extra supers. And I would
Honestly,
imagine he heads to ship.
yeah. What I think Maniacal is already just thinking about not even finding Charge Beam. Maybe
Yeah,
he feels the super ratios are good.
It's definitely a decision you can make a lot earlier in Dash Rando, since you have the starter charge, so as long as you find a couple beams, you are able to do at least a little bit of damage, supplementary to the later bosses. Plus, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the actual distribution of super missiles is a little bit higher. Michael, I don't know what he's doing here. Didn't get the short charge, and then also didn't quite get the jump across the first gap. Just go for the short charge, please. Sigh.
Are you commentating cursing your teammate?
I just wanted him to do the short charge, but he didn't do it. I'm sad. Anyways, as I was saying, in Dash Rando, you're able to make the decision to skip charge, or not skip charge, obviously, but you're able to play around the possibility of not finding charge a lot easier. So Rusty actually gets these back of Gauntlet items.
It's so like new tech that I don't know about.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird check to me. It's pretty slow checking the back of Gauntlet and then going all the way back up to wreck ship. But both of the runners opted to do it, and I would say it paid off, getting those supers.
It did, yeah. On top of that, what interests me is that Iron Rusty's pretty much making the same calls as Maniacal.
Yeah, I would say that is in the benefit of Maniacal. I think he's a little bit better execution-wise, so theoretically, if both runners made the exact same decisions throughout, it would favor Maniacal a little bit. Obviously, that's not a definite Maniacal is favored, but you can see he's already got quite a bit of a lead just off of skipping the Edikun powerbomb check, as well as having a little bit better execution. So it is in his favor so far. Rusty, remembering he has speed. I think he was going for like the spring ball jump or something. Or maybe he just lost his short charge. I'm not sure, or his shine spark rather. Gets the spark this time though. Maniacal with a pretty fast Randoon, actually. I believe that was a 3-round with a fast at the end. I didn't quite see that.
I like Iron Rusty's play here. Ended up bonking the top of that, sparking over to wreck ship just to conserve energy. Because Fantoon does hit. Fantoon hits different when you don't have
Ooh, nice spring ball tech there as well. Getting over to this item location, the spooky missiles, I think people are calling it these days.
You make it sound like we're old now.
You darn kids.
And your spooky missiles and trick-or-treating. Now, another thing that I was wondering, like, this obviously, like, this is like a huge stretch because that's banking, hoping that the two major items that you find before committing to checking the top of rep ship, being your suits. But like I feel like that might have been like a play that a lot of runners. The hottest new tech on the town is, skipping the top of wreck ship because it's kind of slow, and 2 checks over the potential remaining checks. Heading down Red Tower like Spazer, Trade, and then whatever the Norfair.
So the issue with that is, other than like Speed Booster, they've gotten pretty much just E-Tanks in Criteria and Upper Brinstar. And they haven't found anything of value yet in Meridia. If this wreck ship E-Tank item is something valuable, I could see it, but otherwise, I think the play here is definitely to continue checking the rest of wreck ship. High jump is nice. I don't think that's something that Maniacal would bail on.
No, not at all. Ooh, ironrusty.
Don't worry, he's got a lot of reserves.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
doing
not
all
worth
right.
failing on high jump because potential, suits Meridia, what have you. But still.
To answer chat, the spooky missiles are the wreck ship main shaft missile that you can access before turning on the ship.
Yeah, they're the scary ones.
Yeah, they're spooky because you get them while there's ghosts or something like that. There's probably a better reason for that name, but I didn't come up with it.
It's kind of like during Halloween, how some people just let the trick or treat basket like outside in front of their door, and you can just
that's that
cover.
missile. You can just take.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's probably why.
You don't even have to trick or treat. You just take the missile. How kind of.
I know. I'm thinking about Halloween. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's only in like 6 months. It's a reasonable thing to think about. There's Ice Beam, so we'll see if Maniacal opts to pick that up. I would say he should, but with Speed Booster, it's not required. It only really speeds up Turian. That being said, it does speed up Turian a lot, so I doubt he skips it, but there is the option. Could also potentially be thinking about Suitless Meridia with the high jump and now the Ice Beam, as well as Spring Ball allows him to at least get to Mama Turtle in logic. You can't quite get any further without Grapple Beam. But this does put Mama Turtle in logic, so I wouldn't hate to see that check early on either.
It's paid off before. I hate Spiky Room of Death with Speed Booster and no high jump.
It's a scary room. It's got a very fitting name, if you will. Fortunately, he'll have the high jump for the way out. Hopefully he is able to get this item quickly, since you can... This is a pretty tricky item to collect. Luckily, actually having the speed booster and no high jump is kind of to your benefit, since it allows you to make that jump under the ceiling. And some nice spring ball tech. Not quite landing on that last platform, but he's got high jump, so he'll be able to climb out of the water pretty quickly. Maniacal is, of course, opting to pick up that Ice Beam. No surprises here, and we'll see what's at gravity. I would not be surprised if it's nothing, but maybe it isn't nothing.
So would you be surprised if it's something?
I might be surprised if it's something.
It's depending on what it is.
Well, that's something.
But not surprising enough to be something.
Yeah. That does technically allow Maniacal to use X Factors, and even with the starter charge beam, special beam combos do full damage, so he could theoretically do full damage X Factors on Batoon and Dragon, as well as Ridley, but I think with this amount of super missiles, you're probably just going to use 30 supers on Ridley and not worry about X Factors. Does have the option, though, and it will deal full damage if he so desires.
Hold on, Derpy. Are you telling me 15 X Factors on Ridley? Get outta Zebis.
I mean, I'm not saying 15. I'm just suggesting it. That's all.
Oh. Okay.
What's the most X Factors anybody's ever done? Single segment. Is it 5? Has anybody ever tried doing more than 5?
They tried. But
They
are you saying like, yeah, but are you saying like if they landed it? If they landed all X Factors? Ooh, yeah. I don't think anyone's landed more than 5.
I mean, there's no reason to practice more than 5, but I was wondering if maybe somebody did it anyways. Wouldn't be the most unreasonable thing. Another E-Tank here. Spazer.
I ain't liking this. But Maniacal really is in position to do this Mama Turtle check. Whether he feels the need to, it would be Beak Brain for sure. But there's more. I don't know. There's more items. Like I wouldn't do it either.
Yeah, not yet. Maybe. Well, I mean, I guess if the early hell runs don't give any good items, you would have to go up to Mama Turtle, but I don't think there's any reason to. You could argue that both runners feel like they're potentially behind since they went for the ship play, which is generally the less popular play, and it didn't really pay off. Obviously, High Jump, Ice Beam, Wave Beam are all nice items, but they're not progression items, per se, unless it's exactly Mama Turtle. So both runners might actually be thinking they're behind, so there's more chance that they do some risky plays, but going to Mama Turtle is a very slow check, and it's pretty unlikely that it wins you the game. So I am not surprised to see Maniacal skipping it, and I would expect Iron Rusty to do the same. So we'll see what Kraid holds. We have not seen Kraid's items yet, and he has 2 of them. There's their charge beam, so that's nice.
Yep. Full damage now. Unlocked.
Yeah, still no progression to get them through Meridia or Lower Norfair. One important thing to note, if the runners were to find Grapple Beam, is that Sulis Meridia is only in logic up to Botwoon Tank. That includes the left side sandpit. I don't think it includes Shack Tool.
No.
You can correct me if I'm wrong about that. I think that's Multitroid that has Shack Tool and logic without gravity.
Yep.
So that check is definitely doable with Springwall. Technically, you can do it without Springwall just by doing some tricky wall jumps, but the runners may have to do that. Potentially. There's still a lot of Norfair to check, as in all of Norfair, so I don't expect it to come down to that. I would be very surprised if there isn't a suit somewhere in Upper Norfair, but it's possible. You never know with these seeds. One minute they're your friend. The next you have 3 reserves in the first 15 minutes.
I mean, is Super Metroid ever really your friend?
Technically, Super Metroid is a
Here we go.
software, and therefore
That-
it could never contain emotions to be your friend.
You don't know that. You can't say that. sometimes I feel like this game takes it out on me. Have you ever seen Spazer, Derpy?
I have.
Yeah, you have, exactly.
You make a good point.
That's all I needed to say.
You see there the starter charge kind of trolling Rusty. Wanted to use the charge shot to kill the cack attack. Unfortunately, the charge shot does as much as a regular shot to the cack attack here, so still had to do a second normal beam shot. Well, speaking of reserves, there's the last one. At Ice Beam. We'll see how Maniacal decides to route his Upper Norfair. If he wants to take the speed hallway down to Croc, or wants to do the more traditional Frog Speedway into Bubble Mountain. He's got a few options. Looks like he is going to go down here. Do this, the southern route, if you will. And I would expect him to take this into Croc. One nice thing about Croc is that charge beam shots are hard-coded to make him step back twice, and that is not changed with the starter charge beam, so you are able to do this fight very efficiently in this randomizer. Maniacal also has a lot of ammo, so he might just opt to do that. At least going to open with a few shots. Looks like he's sticking with the supers. Of course, super missiles make Crocomire take 3 steps back, so it is better. More DPS, if you will.
Yeah, dragon punch per second.
Dragon punch per second. Iron Rusty also getting the quick kill, meanwhile, so we are 2 for 2 on quick kills. Always nice to see.
I don't know if Rusty's gonna be checking Croc.
Yeah, if he doesn't, if he doesn't and the suit is at Bubble Mountain, that will allow him to catch up to Maniacal a little bit. Still has to do all the beginning of Norfair checks. Needs that high jump in ice. And Maniacal is not too far from Bubble Mountain himself. Once he checks Grapple Beam, he's gonna be there very quickly, and he has the energy to check those items in rapid succession. Won't need to worry too much about farming. It's just gonna take a few farms on the way. Just passing by that little bug station. Might as well get the health while you're at it. So this is Grapple Beam.
Ooh.
Well,
The Vanilli.
we were talking about the potential suitless.
Right.
It's really on the cards now.
What would hurt is if, like, if they go suitless and then don't go to X-ray first. It's kind of weird to make that, because what if X-ray does have that progression? You know, like what if X-ray has Varia?
I think X-ray is technically already in logic with high jump speed and over 6 tanks. So even before that grapple beam, they could have checked X-ray logically once they got out of wrecked ship, basically, since they had all the reserve tanks.
Would you
now
say
they have
it's
a lot easier check with the X-ray? Sorry, what were you saying?
Well, the reason I mention it is because, like, when would you say that X-ray check is a last resort? Like, how can I word this? Would you check X-ray before committing to suitless?
Yes, I would say you would want to do that.
Okay.
Just make sure that's nothing before you commit to suitless, because suitless is very slow. I think if you're taking a gamble, like say you're entering Meridia without ice or something, then and you also have logical progression into X-Ray, I would probably do Meridia first, since you're able to do the first few checks a lot faster. But without having gravity, it's just so slow that you don't really want to do them until you know you have to. Unless you want to commit to Suitless very early, which, like I said, the runners did not do, and I think that was the right call. Looks like Rusty is still continuing to route this very similarly to Maniacal, going down to Croc.
Yep. So yeah, there it is. Entering Croc now. 2 items left though to go for Maniacal. And we have a bunch of E-tanks already that they found.
Maniacal doing the wave check before the speed check. I think this is pretty smart, actually. He's going to do the wave check and then farm up for the speed check. He has enough health to check wave pretty safely. You know, technically you only need like 2 tanks to do this. If you'll see the old RBO route, that's what you'll see most runners do. Obviously, in logic, you need 4 E-tanks, but regardless, the point is Maniacal has more than both of those numbers, and there's the gravity suits.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think this stops Maniacal from checking speed.
No way. You're right here. You know, it could be Varia. It would, if it, you know, in case it is Varia, you could just go straight down to Lower Norfair.
Yeah, but if it's not Varia, it kind of comes back to what you were talking about this X-ray check. Do you check X-ray before or after going into Meridia?
And go on that chase.
Yeah, because there's a lot of slow checks in Meridia. So that definitely factors in. Even just getting to Dragon is kind of out of the way. But X-Ray is kind of an annoying detour in the other direction. There's screw attack, so Maniacal knows that he's got to go into Meridia now.
Yeah, or X-Ray.
Yeah, or X-Ray. Don't think we're going to be seeing any Varia-less Lower Norfairs, but it is technically... It's as comfortable as it's going to get with this much energy and screw attack. But obviously, it's still not very comfortable.
Another thing... Like when... Okay, so... Varia at large. If Maniacal does go into Meridia right now, would you think that he... Oh, I like this play.
Where is... Oh, I see. He's just getting the refill before leaving Norfair. I like this too. This is clever. Unless he's going down to Lower Norfair. Hold up.
It looks like he's going down to Lower Norfair.
Wait, hold on. I was joking. Not like this.
Yeah, Maniacal, you have your teammate commentating, and you already got him worried.
Well, he's going for it.
I mean, you know, another like important thing, and it makes sense, I guess, because yeah, with Dash Rando, you're not taking a lot of, you know, you're not taking the damage from the heat as quickly as you would, you know, in Varia.
Yeah, that is another important change that they added in Dash. Having Gravity Suit means you take 50% heat damage, so it makes this a lot more comfortable. I actually kind of forgot about that change, to be honest. I like this play a little bit better now that I remember that. But it's still pretty risky, since there's not a whole lot of places Varia can be, and it will allow Rusty to take Lower Norfair a little bit more... He won't have to play as conservative, since he won't have a constantly draining health bar. Maniacal's actually just going for it. He's not even going to bother checking screw attack, and why would he? It's not going to be Varia, so he has no real need for it. Best case, it's Plasma Beam, but that's such a small percentage for a pretty slow check that it's not even really worth his time. And Rusty actually didn't check Bubble Mountain. He's actually going straight into Meridia. Hold up. So both of the runners, like I said, probably feeling like they're a little bit behind, actually, from the ship not really paying off. So they're both taking risky plays. Rusty actually going straight to Meridia after Croc. Maniacal going into Lower Norfair with no Varia. I can't say I dislike either play with the knowledge that each runner has, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, at this point...
Hey, there's Phaser.
No, there's not. At this point, yeah, with everything that they found, everything just being, not suits, I can see where Rusty's coming from.
Wonder if
Maniacal definitely feels...
I think he's gonna get to the save station and then do a Crystal Flash. Yeah, you saw him skip that health drop. That's because he wants to get his health low enough to Crystal Flash. He's actually gonna take the save and then just do a Crystal Flash later in the room, it looks like. Which I like this play. Just gonna empty out those reserves, so you don't need to worry about those.
Yeah, that play is actually super important. Also, Iron Rusty doing a great job over here at Suitless Meridia.
Yeah, he's actually not checking Mama Turtle. He's just going straight for Bothwoon. Which could be the big play.
The reason I like what Maniacal's doing is because there's a huge possibility that there's no E-Tank behind Ridley.
Should clarify for saying Wreck Ship was a miss. Obviously, it had a lot of nice items, but it had no direct progression items. So the runners obviously think there's a possibility that the other runner went down, got the gravity suit, and is currently trekking it through Meridia. We still don't know where Varia is. At this point, we know it
we
has
may
to
never
be
know.
Meridia. Varia cannot be a Ridley, unfortunately.
As much as we wanted there, yeah, it can't.
Rusty needs to get this ice clip to Bothwoon. Actually going to freeze the Metroid so it doesn't do constant damage to him while he's setting up. And he gets it first try. I actually find this clip to be kind of finicky when you do have gravity on. I feel like it works a lot better when you don't have gravity, actually, but maybe that's just me. So we got Maniacal going for Ridley. He's got 30 supers, so this should be a pretty comfortable fight. Gravity will provide the maximum protection against Ridley, and he doesn't lose that much damage from heat since the dash changes are kicking in. So this should be a pretty safe fight. And even if he dies, he has a save pretty close, so it's not the worst situation ever. Iron Rusty is the various suit right here. No.
Oh. Well, it can't be behind Dragon, of course.
Can't be behind Dragon, so that leaves everything
potentially
in Meridia except Dragon and Plasma and X-Ray.
Yep.
Looks like Rusty is just gonna commit to full suitless. He's got ways to get out of Dragon's lair with the grapple beam and the spring ball. And at this point, once you're this far into Meridia, you kind of have to go for it if you have the knowledge to be able to. Rusty is, of course, a playoffs participant in the Rando League, so obviously this is out of logic, but you do kind of expect people to know what they're doing in terms of the sequence breaks, or the logic breaks, I guess, with the Randomizer League logic.
Maniacal. I thought he was gonna farm in the room prior.
Yeah, I think he thought about just skipping the Crystal Flash, but looks like he's changing his mind. If he wants to farm supers, I would actually prefer to see him farm the Pirates with short charges. I assume that's something Maniacal can do. Rusty not saving before. He's not saving before Dragon, and he was actually setting up to do a to get a blue suit. Looks like he is going to take the save.
Yeah, which is good because you'll never know when you might get hacked by Dragon.
Yep, he's gonna get himself nice and low here, so that he can get a Crystal Flash pretty quickly. Does Rusty run RBO? I haven't followed the leaderboards in a while, I will admit.
Not that I know of, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty well versed in Rando, so. And, you know, going up against someone like Maniacal, who's incredibly good, I'm pretty sure Maniacal, like, I mean, him doing this, like, Iron Rusty knows that he kind of has to go all out.
I wonder how Maniacal is going to play this out. He's got 200 health in reserve, and with the dash changes, that might actually be enough to get all the way through the LN escape, depending on how this next room goes. But he has screw attack, so he's fine. And space jump actually picked that up from behind Ridley. So yeah, his reserves are going to trigger. We'll see if he just plays this safe and waits down here. Looks like he's going to kill all these enemies, and then now he's going for it. Should have enough health, though.
He has space jump. He should be okay.
Yeah, with space jump, he's definitely fine. Oh, well, he's going to take a safe. Just gets himself nice and cozy in this corner. Not going to miss any inputs. Good job.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
Rusty setting up.
Rusty didn't quite get the quick grapple kill on Dragon, but does get the spark. Of course, Dragon grabbed him out of a Crystal Flash, which gave him a spike suit, and because he got grabbed while in the animation to do a Shine Spark, that gives him a blue suit. So now he has a blue suit to get out of Dragon a little bit easier. He can actually use that blue suit to get out of this room or the next room, depending on if he feels comfortable with grapple jumping out of Dragon or spring ball jumping out of Precious Room. There's the plasma beam, so that's something Maniacal might not actually bother picking up. So that's a nice little bonus for Rusty. Still looking for that Varia suit, though. And still hasn't checked Bubble Mountain, so hasn't picked up the gravity. Maniacal, meanwhile, might not check another item at all. He might just call it. He might just be going for the end. He's got go mode. He has enough E-tanks to survive the rainbow beam, even without Varia. He's got full beam combo. He's got the worst full beam combo, but still a nice kill on Mother Brain. Definitely in a prime position to win, but still a lot of things that can go wrong.
I feel like maybe Maniacal might end up finding plasma because just one check that he can actually do, you know.
It's
I
possible.
know, and with like all the E-tanks, you know, out of the way, and maybe not all necessarily, but like majority of them, like a good, 96% of the E-tanks. I know I threw out that number. Who cares though? It would. I feel like it would make sense for him to try it out.
Maybe he will get, or he will at least see the E-tank. A Batoon. Rusty kind of scaring me here with this Coliseum escape. Got caught in the quicksand, almost got stuck in the bottom, or rather, almost KO'd into the bottom.
Yeah, that Kago is extremely scary. As cool as Kagos might be sometimes. Good high five here.
Unfortunately, one runner a little bit more equipped for the task on that high five. Maniacal actually has like no ammo. I guess he did use a crystal flash, so that got rid of most of his ammo. But he's got enough to kill the turrets, and that's all he needs. I would not be surprised if he takes the ship refill before entering Turian.
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of like playing with new route ammo.
Yeah, the only real question at this point is, like you said, does Maniacal bother to check the item behind Dragon in the event that it's plasma? And technically, it can't be Varia because he has found gravity, so Varia can be anywhere in Meridia. Looks like he is going to check it. No, just wanted the drops.
Okay. Something you don't see often too from anyone is the reverse clip out of Batoon.
Yeah,
Which is good because what happened?
I was gonna say the reverse clip is a little bit trickier, but you see it from Rusty. Executes it well.
Do you think the reason for that, well, is because he wants to go for a Mama Turtle check?
I mean, he just wants to get out of Meridia, and going through the Batoon Sand Pit is kind of slow because he wants to. He doesn't have a great way. I mean, he does have a great way to get back to this entry to Mount Everest, but it is slow. And obviously, you want to avoid going down into the Eva rooms without a suit because those are kind of miserable. He is going to check Mama Turtle, but I think even if he wasn't planning on doing this, he was probably going to just head this way and do the reverse ice clip.
I guess just because
Hey, there's Varia.
oh, this Varia works out.
It all works out. Oh,
Except grappling sometimes doesn't work out. Oh, but that Mama
That
Turtle
was
save worked out.
Mama Turtle hooking you up. But that is go mode for Rusty. He has already finished up Meridia, and that Varia suit allows him to get through Lower Norfair nice and easy. Probably won't have the screw attack since I doubt he's checking anything in Bubble Mountain, but that should be fine. He does have the plasma beam, so that'll make up for it a little bit. Maniacal taking the ship refill, as expected. Kind of disappointed that he picked up the drops when he was going to refill. Anyways, kind of SMHing my head there, if you will. That's okay. He's on like 101, 102 pace, Turian, depending on, or 101, 102 pace, depending on Torian, rather. I'd like to see him play it safe. He probably doesn't know how far ahead he is. But I would like to see him play safe regardless. I didn't see if he actually saved at the ship or not. I don't think he did, though.
I think Maniacal might actually feel ahead because he did do the lower Norfair without Varia, so.
I mean, his main concern is obviously just the thought that potentially Iron Rusty went down, got gravity, took that right into Meridia, and then got Varia at, like, Mama Turtle or Sandpit, which is kind of what happened, but unfortunately not in that order for Rusty. But that's what Maniacal is theoretically worried about, in which case he could be expecting Rusty to finish at any moment. But I would imagine he probably starts feeling ahead once he gets into Mother Brain 3 and the escape, and there's still no dot done from Rusty. Probably start to realize that Rusty did not God route, and he is in a good position.
Someone was kind of weird to God route, too. But okay. Monaco was his attempt at baby skip.
Looking good, just needs to get in a good position. There we go. A little bit slow, but still got the baby skip. I imagine he refills anyways, mostly because he has to refill. Doesn't have the health to actually survive Mother Brain 2 without Varia. Not sure how he took so much damage. I guess the Metroids actually do...
Or
do the Metroids
yeah,
do
I
more?
think they do. Yeah, I could sworn that they did.
And I think it's just the baby Metroid that does more without Varia. But... wait. What I'm thinking of is another slight change with the suits in Dash, that both of them actually only prevent 50% general damage. So technically he does take more damage from the Metroids, because he takes more damage from everything, except heat. I think.
Yeah, we need a fact check right now. Also, excellent morph skip.
Got the
Morph
spring
step
ball skip. I think he used spring
Did
ball
he
for it.
spring ball?
Pretty sure he had iframes on
Yeah.
stream, and they weren't actually showing, so I assume he springballed, but you never
It's
know.
like Schrodinger's zap skip or something.
Yeah, Schrodinger's springball. If a bear picks up springball in the woods and no one's around to watch it, did it really happen? Or something. Okay, so I'm hearing that Maniacal actually damaged down before baby skip, which I think is fine. He was planning on refilling anyways, just topping off on health.
Best of both worlds.
I don't think Maniacal's going to really go for stand-up either, with just the Charge Ice Wave Spazer. It doesn't really have a great beam to do damage to Mother Brain. So I imagine he takes the end of this fight pretty conservatively. Just gonna finish him off with super missiles. Finish her off, rather. His Mother Brain, after all. Well, he is setting up for stand-up.
Hey, you gotta save that 0.millisecond.
I mean, it saves like 5 seconds, actually. Pretty sure. Alright, it looks like he is just staying down, though. No surprises there. I think he could. Well, no, he can't stand up now. Now that the baby Metroid has showed back up, the game has forced him back into a locked position. So even if he wanted to stand up now, he doesn't have the option. Pretty sure. The game does some little changes in your pose during this cutscene. You look up at the baby Metroid and then look back down once they detach from Mother Brain. And in both of those situations, it'll try to force you into a crouch position if you aren't in a crouch position. So that's some of the things you need to worry about when doing stand-up glitch. That's why you'll see people do a specific setup, like being in the air when the baby Metroid first shows up, because landing gets you out of the crouch position, as well as when the baby detaches from Mother Brain. Little technical things that Maniacal didn't bother worrying about, since he didn't have plasma beam, so he couldn't do a ton of damage during the Mother Brain 2 cutscene anyways.
And it's also risky. Like, you don't need to. I'm pretty sure Maniacal should feel, comfortable.
Yeah, at this point,
in
Maniacal should know he's ahead. I don't think he expects to. He shouldn't expect the race to be this close if Iron Rusty God routed. And Maniacal probably thinks that if Rusty didn't God route, that he's probably ahead. So he should be pretty comfortable now. We'll have to ask him. Yeah, we'll have to ask him after the race how he feels, but that's what I imagine. Doesn't quite get the blue bomber. See if he goes for it again.
I just hope he's able to get an escape. Escape the exploding planet. That's kind of happening.
It's true. He only has 3 minutes to go through the whole planet. It's not
an entire planet.
Yeah. How far can you go in 3 minutes on Earth?
I'd probably take my time and still be sitting.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't moved in over 3 minutes, so.
Yeah, I think we definitely not survive something like this.
Yep, might be doomed for us.
So are you and I like the animals? Cheaty, tracking?
Yeah, that's all of us. Me and you and Cheaty Phase 4 on trekking. We're all the animals that Maniacal is opting to run away from. This is kind of tragic, honestly. I don't think we're going to be surviving this.
No. But GG to Maniacal, though.
Yep, finishing in first place with an official racetime.gg time of 1:02:10. Did actually have to do the race on racetime instead of SRL due to some issues on Rusty's end, but it's not a big deal, and either way, Maniacal is going to be the winner.
So yeah, that seed was one heck of a seed.
Yeah, for slower Norfair in logic, it's definitely an interesting seed. You don't see that too often in this randomizer logic. I say that, but you kind of do. It's not the most uncommon thing ever. Regardless, Maniacal was able to completely bypass it. Wait, what am I saying? There was literally gravity in Upper Norfair. Rusty just did it for the memes, I guess. And also because he didn't want to check Bubble Mountain. Regardless, we did see a suitless Meridia, and that's exciting.
We saw suitless Meridia, and we saw Varialist Lower Norfair, also Maniacal in the booth. Welcome on home.
Hey, Seffi, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. How's it going?
For Derpy to say something too, but I guess he doesn't.
To you. You gotta respond to his response to you. That's
Oh.
how conversations work.
I apologize, Maniacal, who I'm clearly talking to and not Derpy.
It's okay, Seffi, whom I'm clearly talking to and not Derp.
Yeah, I don't know who Derp is. I think he's on your team or something.
Walk into something I did not want to walk into.
You opened this can of spaghetti.
I don't
A whole
think
can of
comes in
spaghetti
a
all
can.
over the place.
Either way, congrats on the win. Scoring one for your buddy here, Derpy, and Solsky, who should be watching and judging too.
Yeah, he's
That's
in
how he
chat.
is.
I saw.
Oh.
I know who my teammates are, so I know the pressure that's on me. Nah, they'll handle their business too. I trust them.
What did you think of this seed?
I felt real bad, and then I felt real okay. And that was about how I felt about it. Going to Rick's ship where I did, I liked the decision. I think it's a strong play given all the context of what I had, and got 2 beams and high jump boots out of it that turned out to be a lot more relevant than I had initially thought them to be. I mean, I was entertaining the idea that ice and high jump, and then I found grapple at Crocomire, and I started to feel like, oh god, are we really going here? Is this actually a Varia seed and not a dash seed? But then Gravity showed up right on time, and did anyone catch where Varia was? Did Rusty
It was at
find
Mama Turtle.
Okay.
Yep.
So, did Iron Rusty hell run for the gravity suit, or just go in on the suitless Meridian?
So Rusty actually routed it pretty much identical to you up to
Okay.
Croc,
Mhm.
and then instead of going up to Bubble Mountain, he went into Meridia and full cleared that. Basically, well, not full cleared, but went to Dragon and then checked Mama Turtle on his way out. He got his area.
So did Dragon then without gravity?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought about it. It was kind of on the table. I didn't want to do it without gravity and space jump, and I would much rather do Ridley before Dragon in Dash, and in most randomizers for that matter. But it's interesting. I was worried about skipping X-ray. Did we ever see what was at X-ray?
Nope.
Oh no, not at
Couldn't
all.
have been anything
And
good though.
Yeah.
it could have been every single reserve tank. I mean, I don't know if we saw the first, but
Oh no, I
We
found
saw
all
all
4.
of them.
okay.
I abandoned the 4th one. Was it Ice Beam? I think was the 4th one.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I felt like it was somewhere where it was extra salty. But yeah, the seat was fine. It gave you kind of everything you would reasonably need pretty early. Early speed's always nice. No suits to Red Tower is kind of always a bit of a dash feels bad, because it really it can send you to wreck ship pretty reasonably, and then if you strike out on wreck ship and the suits were both just down Red Tower, we've seen one match go that way already in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to mention which specific game because I don't want to spoil it for people, but that's one of the things that Dash can do in a fairly low percent of situations. And if it does that, then if you went up to wreck ship, you probably are in a really bad spot.
Yeah, that's a heck show. It really doesn't happen a lot, of course, but
No, it's very infrequent, but
Mhm.
I mean, it obviously can happen, and it's fairly low percent for it to happen. But when it does, you just get bodied by it. So I was kind of hoping that wasn't going to be the texture of this seed, and ultimately it wasn't. So the high jump boots, ice, and wave, I felt good about them in the end. When I saw where gravity was, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be very happy to have the high jump boots. I mean, you could have very reasonably done IBJ or spring ball, worst room, or hypo wall jump if you really want to. But with space jump down behind worst room, it felt good overall. The locations and the route that I took.
Yeah, so I guess you kind of just answered it for us, but you mentioned the seed felt bad and then felt okay. So I imagine finding gravity was the turning point there.
Yeah, it was
it
kind of like,
on?
okay, well, now I don't regret completely going and getting those high jump boots because they're going to save me a decent amount on movement, and having charge ice wave as a backup with my current ammo situation is, that's a fine beam combo as opposed to just straight up charge nothing, which is kind of what you would have been looking at going into lower Norfair with just gravity. And then, like, Screw Attack was kind of a feels bad because it made Lower Norfair a lot more free. So I was a little bit worried, just because there wasn't an abundance of tanks up at Wreck Ship, that Rusty would have done the hell run over to Bubble Mountain, gotten Gravity and Screw Attack, and been like, hey, I got, 10 total tanks, Gravity, Screw Attack, bombs, let's go. And that was a situation where I could have been behind if Rusty had happened into some extra super packs. But the fact that 2 of my supers had come from back of Gauntlet was really weighing on my mind at that point. And I was like, his ammo's probably not that great by the time he gets here if he's routing this way, or the way that I was kind of afraid that someone might route that I would be losing to.
I mentioned that you routed pretty much the same up until Grapple Beam.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was almost literally check for check, exactly the same. You both actually ended up checking back of Gauntlet minor item.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's I think that's a good play from that situation, because you kind of get to free roll the ship refill anyway, and so your 2 power bomb packs can carry you. Also, the fact that early Gauntlet was a play with bombs, and that was available, basically at the start of the seed. That's one of those ones where, if it turns out to be the item, you really don't want to isolate it. And so I'm sure that also may have been part of what was going on in Rusty's head when he made the decision to go up Red Tower, just like I wanted to get back to the Gauntlet as well.
Obviously, Lower Norfair was not an issue for you. Did you feel the need to check anything else afterwards? We were wondering if you were gonna check Dragon or not, and I just kind of was wondering what influenced that. I felt like that you would, because it's right there. Why not?
I mean,
heck it.
What am I gonna find, right? I'm gonna find X-ray. I'm gonna find Plasma. I'm not gonna find both. If I find Varia, all that does is confirm that I was right to make the play that I made, and so I'd rather not waste time feeling right. I'd rather just try and be fast. And the only thing that's upside there is, if I find Charged Plasma, that's going to speed up the Mother Brain 2 fight, and if I find X-Ray, that's going to make stand-up safer. But I really don't like going for gravity-only stand-up in Dash, just because of the way Mother Brain damage works. I think that I'm just a lot more likely to kind of fall into habit of gravity working like gravity instead of gravity working like Dash gravity, as far as enemy damage goes. And I'm a lot more likely to just kill myself on stand-up than I would otherwise be, so I actually played a pretty conservative Mother Brain fight.
I figured that was the case, and I mean, I guess by that point, yeah, you just didn't feel the need to actually do so, because I'm pretty sure you felt comfortable in your position by that point.
Yeah, I mean, when I found gravity and found space jump where it was, I was just like, okay, well, this feels like it's probably, even if I'm losing time by having done full wrecked ship, that at least I'm making up a good bit of that by having wave, by having ice, by having high jump boots, sort of room to room. And so I felt like the extra things that I had were allowing me to move, faster than I would have had I not had them, and faster than I felt like my opponent would be moving if they had not had them either. So that was kind of the spot I was in where I felt okay about it. You never feel good in Dash when your timer's creeping above like 53, 54 minutes. But at the same time, you start watching the timer, or the channel. But at the same time, the way the seed was laid out, I felt okay about it. Never safe, but okay.
Well, you showed up.
That makes sense.
No. It does. You're good. Because obviously, what's going on, and sometimes, I guess just to be able to dive into what the runner is thinking, it's kind of just always good to know. Kind of to just see what decisions you make. Why you chose to go all out in the lower Norfair as opposed to playing a much more riskier a much more conservative Mother Brain fight when honestly you didn't need to.
I had a pretty conservative lower Norfair, I felt like, honestly.
You think that that Variolus is pretty tame?
Yeah, I mean, I had 11 total tanks, 2 crystal flashes, grapple, screw attack, high jump boots. I mean, I had kind of the whole package, and that's the equivalent, of like a 22 tank RBO lower Norfair. And so, that's pretty darn cozy, and I was really conservative with my crystal flash management as well. Just waited around in a couple rooms a couple times just to not push it, so that I didn't risk a major time loss. And so I felt like I did actually play that really conservatively. Same thing with Mother Brain. I just really wanted to avoid major time losses. I felt like, again, that I was on a fairly solid route for the seed, that even the inefficiencies were, kind of going to work their way out. If my opponent took the absolute best route through the seed, I probably wasn't going to win, but otherwise I felt like, I was at least going to be in contention as long as I didn't screw up so badly. So I really just wanted to not take any major time losses.
Yeah, and
pretty much what we were saying on broadcast, I think.
Yeah. I probably should have farmed speed bugs or really the bugs pre-frog speedway, the gamuts there on my way into Meridia, but I didn't, and I ended up with bad ammo for Botwoon. And I think that's really the only decision that I regret. I was trying to push and trying to decide whether I wanted to farm power bombs off the B-toms. And ultimately, I decided I didn't. But in the decision-making stage of that, I also forgot that I probably did want to actually go farm the gamuts there. So that was the thing that I felt worst about the seed, was not farming those bugs on my way into Meridia and giving myself a slow Botwoon. Otherwise, pretty happy with the choices I made.
Yeah, performance-wise, you definitely did exceptional. Just where items were located, yeah, it feels bad, and as you said.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those seeds that I felt like an hour 2 sort of time was a reasonable time for this item layout. Did we see where Plasma Beam was, by the way?
It was behind Dragon.
Behind Dragon.
Oh, okay, cool.
Alright, so I think that's gonna do it for us. You have any last words to say, Maniacal?
Wow, that's how you're gonna ask him?
Thoughts?
You better hold it down, Derp. You better do your job. No, I appreciate the restream and the race, and Cheaty Face for the tracking. Zephy and Derp for the commentary. Thank you for having me into chat. And I'll let you guys shut it down. GG to Iron Rusty.
GG to him. Yeah, he put in with an official time GG/SMR/fortunate. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Time of 1 hour, 13 minutes, 32 seconds, and yeah.
Steffi leaking the race time lobby. Everyone get in here. Just ignore it's
It's a
already
party.
shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good race. That was the first one too, right?
First one of the series, yes. The second
Okay.
one will be tomorrow, 9 p.m. We've got Isle Mr. Fox versus Solski, so that is the power matchup. And then I haven't scheduled my race personally, but that'll probably sometime over the weekend, so keep an eye out for that. And we got a couple other races. 2 races Thursday at 8 p.m. Croc Ovin versus Dog Ate My Morph Ball, and Team versus Johnny B. Croak. So, if you're interested in more Randomizer League playoffs action, we got plenty of games tomorrow for you, and more coming after that. So don't go too far. You won't want to miss it.
Really don't. Yeah, everyone have a good night. Thank you, Derpy, for Derpy.
Anytime. Shout out to
Yup.
Cheaty Face.
Chill.
He's cool.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah. See ya.
See ya.